Have you forgotten that we have a date to babysit with your grandchildren?
Well, you'd better run along, Madge. I'm expecting a call from Tim Spencer at the store. Besides,
Problems?
Well, no, not exactly. I guess I've been thinking about this. Wondering how I could answer it.
The big chief himself. And a happy new year to you, too, Mr. Penney.
Read it.
Dear Mr. Maywood, as we stand on the threshold of the year 1952, I'm sure that every manager in each of our more than 1,600 stores shares with me a deep feeling of satisfaction as our organization enters the golden year of its existence. The year's end, of course, means inventory time for us all, a taking stock merchandise on hand. But this particular year, I'd like to think that each of us would prepare, if only in his own mind, another kind of inventory, an inventory of achievement in terms of human values. Surely, the beginning of our 50th year is a fitting time to re-evaluate the degree to which we have made the golden rule a reality in our dealings with each other and with the public. A time to consider anew how the words on which our company was founded, the words honor, confidence, service, and cooperation have actually guided our lives and our achievements. Upon such an inventory, we can base our approach to the future, confident, I believe, that as part of the great community of merchants of our nation, all of whom are serving it well and earnestly in the blessedness of freedom, we can look to yesterday with pride and to tomorrow with abounding hope. In trust that you will join me in thinking on these things, I am sincerely yours, J.C. Penney. I understand. Well, I know at least one manager who could write a book on the subject.
Inventory for a golden year. It's a fine idea, Madge.
Just in case you would like to refresh your memory on some items for that inventory, I'll run along. Don't stay up too late, darling. Night.
August 9th, 1926.
Madge, you shouldn't be doing that.
Wait, Stevie. Here. Hand me that. There.
Well, what's that?
So I'm a sentimentalist. I got it at the church rummage sale on my way home from Dr. Blair's. 40 cents. Swedish.
Well, what does it say?
There's no place like home, I think. Anyway, something like that. And the last house it was in, it stayed on one wall for 37 years. And that's for me. There. There.
Oh. Hey.
What?
You saw Dr. Blair? And?
He said that if I can have a baby like Stevie, after all of the turmoil we went through, moving 800 miles to get here, that I can have another dozen without batting an eyelash, now that we're all settled. Let's see, he also said it'll be in March. It'll be a girl. That's a promise. In fact, Steve, is anything wrong? I hate telegrams. Stephen Maywood, Hebron, Indiana. Definite opening available. Clinton, Arkansas store. Salary as discussed. Must know at once. Ralph Baker, Personnel Department, J.C. Penney Company.
Look, Madge, I know we'd counted on my going on in a law office right here, and we'd agreed about not moving around, but, well, I got to talking to this Mr. Baker last week, and he convinced me that this is, well, it's no ordinary setup. You see, being a lawyer is great, Madge, for the men who are ripe for it, but I know now it's not what I really want to do. I like selling, and I can sell. Those summers I worked part-time, I found that out. And merchandising is important, Madge, as a service to the community. Even, look, this is the richest country in the world today, and do you know why?
Why?
Well, you'd say manufacturing, mass production. Most people do. Well, that is part of the answer, but only a part. Another part is distribution. Getting the manufactured goods into the hands of the people everywhere at a reasonable price. And every merchant, every man or woman who runs any kind of a store in this country today, or even works in one, is doing a vital and essential job. Why, he's even more important than a...
Eddie, Senator, you got my vote already. Whom are you trying to sell, yourself or me?
Well, after so much talk about my being a great lawyer someday, I figured you might feel a little funny being married to a storekeeper.
Oh, I don't know. There's another fellow who started out as a storekeeper. Did all right. Fellow named Lincoln.
Lincoln? Hey, have a heart. But seriously, Madge, this penny outfit is really going places. You know, they've already got over 700 stores all over the country, and each manager has real independence in his own store. He even shares in the profits.
You mean you're going to be a manager?
Well, not exactly. I start out as a clerk. An associate, they call it. But then, after 4 or 5 years, I'll get transferred somewhere. Maybe even as an assistant manager.
Somewhere else, naturally.
Then later, I may get promoted to a bigger job. I may even get my own store as manager.
Again, somewhere else. Well, anyway, at least you'll be getting more money even at the beginning. Not less.
Well, I told Mr. Baker I'd have to talk it over with you. I'll just tell him to forget the whole thing.
Oh, wait a minute. I distinctly remember some words about for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse. And whichever this is, Steve, well, if it's what you want, well, that's what we do.
Sure, Madge.
Sure. There's no place like home. It says here.
Madge, the moving and all. You're sure, Madge? You won't be worried about...
Oh, now look, I just got a telegram, personal. It says here that your daughter wouldn't think of being born anywhere but Clinton, Kansas.
Well, that's going to make it tough.
Why?
Her mother's going to be in Clinton, Arkansas. Clinton, here we come. 1926.
So, you're reporting, are you, Mr. Maywood, at 11:20 in the morning? Well, I hope we didn't get you up too early.
No, Mr. Harkness.
For your information, Mr. Maywood, the hours of this store are from 8 to 6. When I started in my first store with Mr. Penney himself, I worked from 7 in the morning till we were through, if it was midnight, 7 days a week. Of course, I know better than to expect anything like that from a young man these days.
I came here to work, Mr. Harkness, and I intend to.
In my day, Mr. Maywood, we really learned this business. We learned selling, we learned display, we learned everything we could learn about how to better serve our customer. How do we do it? We worked, Mr. Maywood.
Yes, sir.
You. Why did you take this job?
Why?
Because you want my job. That's why you came here, telling your wife that you were sure you'd be manager in practically no time, didn't you?
Well, I didn't say manager, and I didn't say how soon. But I did tell Madge I hoped for a better job somewhere in the company.
Oh, you did?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's a darn good thing you did. You see these? 5 different men who worked for me, and every one of them went to a key job somewhere in the organization. I won't have a man in my store who doesn't aim to better himself or who I don't think can do it. About you, I don't know. Law school, huh? Sure you can, wrestle a packing case open with those lily white hands of yours?
Anytime you want to try them, sir, we can both find out.
Well, it just so happens that we have a whole new shipment out back that just came in this morning. Go on. get to work.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Maywood, the next time you report for a new job, on the first day, be on time.
I intend to, sir. Oh, Mr. Harkness, do you know the date I was supposed to report to this job?
Certainly I know it, the 16th.
Well, this is the 15th. I just stopped in today to say hello. I'll get to those packing cases. A very moving ad.
Steve, 20 off, you'll be late.
Would you believe it? Hi, beautiful.
Be just like old Ed Harkness to cut his trip short one day just so he could catch you being late.
Hi. Well, Ed Harkness may seem like a Simon Legree to you, Madge, but I'd rather be that man's assistant manager than anybody's in the company. With that man, you can learn.
If you live through it.
Besides, it shows he has confidence in me. He actually broke down and has left me in complete charge for 2 whole weeks. Oh, these look beautiful. Aren't you having any?
No, thanks.
Oh, bad morning?
Well, let's just say that Mother doesn't feel like any pancakes in the morning.
Well, that part'll be over soon, and you'll feel better than ever.
Thank you, Dr. Maywood. You know, I still can't believe it.
Believe what?
Well, now that this house is as fixed as I can fix it, we have the garden all planted, we've moved our church membership, made a lot of new friends, and I'm going to have another baby. Now, if all of that isn't a sure sign that we're going to move again, then I'm Greta Garbo.
Not a chance. Not this time. I can promise you that.
Speaking of being settled, there is one more thing that I do need, and that's a bedspread. These in today's ads look like good buys.
Oh, they are. Hey, how'd you like that ad I drew up?
Fine. You know, I'm surprised you can sell this quality for $1.98.
Oh, well, you see, sometimes our buyers can pick... $1.98? Those spreads are $3.98. Oh, whoa!
Steve, your breakfast! Take it home or it's gonna rain, Steve! Honestly, your father.
Well, it's my fault, all right. I wrote the ad wrong.
Well, what are we going to do?
I don't know.
It's opening time now, Mr. Maywood.
We could just put them all in the stockroom, tell people they're all gone.
You know better than that, Bill.
Whatever you decide, I'm sure Mr. Harkness will back you up.
Yeah, probably right against a wall.
It looks like rain. Maybe many people won't come out.
And those that do have a right to get what they came after.
Well, what are we going to sell them for?
Heaven help us, and please let it rain. They sell for $1.98. Open up.
Let me congratulate you, Mr. Maywood. You've established a new store record for bedspreads sold on a single day, rain or shine.
I'm sorry, Mr. Harkness.
You've managed to lose more money on one item than any individual who ever worked in this store. Through callousness, Mr. Maywood, pure and simple.
I know, sir. And believe me, it'll never happen again as long as I'm in this store.
No, I'm darn sure it won't. Because as of Saturday, we'll be doing without your valuable services.
Why, you can't do that, Mr. Harkness.
What?
Well, maybe I'm not one of the founding fathers like you, but I know something about this company too, Mr. Harkness. And one of the things it stands for is loyalty. We pick people carefully for their jobs, and once we pick them, we back them up. And we don't fire them for just one mistake.
Who said anything about firing anybody? Let me read you a telegram that just happened to come about a half an hour ago from the company personnel department in New York. You want to hear it? All right. Offering Stephen Maywood management, Gordon City, Missouri. Should report November 12th. Salary $150. Wire acceptance. Well, how about it, kid? You want it?
Want it? Store of my own. Wait till I tell Madge. Madge. Garden City.
1929 to 1935.
Madge, will you bring Kathy and come on? The boys are in the car.
We're coming. We've got a case of stage fright on our hands. Ever since she saw the program, well, she's afraid maybe we'd better hear her speech that she wrote after all.
All right, let's hear it.
Ready, Kathy?
Uh-huh.
Still want to do your practicing again?
Uh-huh.
All right, go. And you stand right here and pretend like this is a stage. And Daddy and I'll sit over here and be your audience. Come on, Daddy. Now, darling, there isn't going to be a chair on the stage. Smile.
My father's profession. Everybody knows my father's been manager of Penny Store for the past 7 years. He likes his job, but I don't very much. He sells stuff, but not candy. I wish he sold candy. Also, he doesn't have a red truck like Mr. Kaler at the paint store. I like red trucks. My father's on the school board and the Chamber of Commerce, and besides, lots of nights he works. Mommy said she would have done better to marry a railroad engineer. I like engines. My mother says every time we move to a new town, she has a baby. And if my daddy's store does enough business, he might even get a better store. So I hope all my friends will buy at Penny's. They'll get more for their money and help my daddy at the same time. And maybe I'll get and maybe I'll get a baby brother. I thank you. Whew. Is it all right, Daddy?
All right. It's perfect. Come on.
Something tells me I ought to stay home and start packing.
Let's go. And so to Clarksville. Oh, Ed, I thought you went right home after the banquet.
I go home when I get ready. I'm retiring, not dying. What are you doing here? You're not taking over for me until tomorrow. Always did report too early.
Habit I picked up back in Clinton, I guess.
How's the new baby?
Fine.
Madge?
Fine, too.
Just, collecting a few personal things.
Sure.
I ought to thank all of you for that dinner tonight, I suppose, so thanks. You ought to know that I have no use for sentimental nonsense. Whole club spending money for a watch. I already got a watch.
Oh.
Well, here, give me that. All that palaver.
Nobody said anything that wasn't true, Ed.
No, what about you? Ed Harkness taught me everything I know about merchandising. Well, maybe I did.
You know darn well you did.
Maybe I haven't said so, Steve, but I'm glad they picked you to take over for me here. Tell the truth, I've been rooting for you ever since that day back in Clinton. Time you told me off.
You don't forget, do you?
No. You know, this is a fine store, Steve. Oh, could be better. The right man could double this store's business in a few years.
Oh, I think you're aiming a little higher there for Clarksville, Ed.
Why am I? Look what's happened to the whole penny organization in the last few years. It kept going ahead even in the Depression. I tell you, Steve, we're on a threshold. The country, the town, even the store. And how far we go depends on how hard we want to get there. Aiming high? Maybe I am. Since when did you start aiming low?
Maybe I just raised my sights.
Well, me for the lake. Those 12-pound trout.
Catch a few for me, Ed.
Yeah. Steve.
Yes?
Don't ever forget. One final test of a good manager is how well you train other men for leadership. See to it that you fill up that wall.
I'll do what I can, Ed. Good night. 36, 1948. Comes to justice. 1948.
And I still can't understand what happened to the boy, Mr. Maywood.
I've looked again, Mr. Maywood. There's no one on the balcony.
Well, thanks, Peter. You run along. We'll handle this.
Right. Good night. Good night.
You see, after he'd picked out practically a whole outfit of clothes for himself, he said he wanted a slip and a dress for his mother for her birthday tomorrow.
Hallie, you should have taken him to the right department.
Well, I normally would have, but it was after closing time, and he seemed, well, embarrassed. So I brought the things to him. He liked them, particularly the dress, and he asked me to go and get another. So I did, and when I came back...
Maywood.
Still no luck, Tim?
I looked everywhere again for the boy. He can't be in the store.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Maywood. Certainly a woman of my experience should have known better.
Hallie, your record has been so good for so long, I'd begun to think you couldn't possibly make a mistake. This just goes to prove you're human like the rest of us. Let me worry about it. Tim. You make the deposit, will you? And stop at the police station. Ask Sergeant Garrett to call me here. Everybody out? We may as well go along. Hello, Jeff. Looks like you got locked in.
Yeah, I guess I did. I was trying to find the back door.
Well, shall we talk upstairs? Well, you better bring that. Take it easy, son. You see, all the doors are locked, Jeff. Now we'll talk upstairs. Bring the bag. I'll take that now.
What is all this? What are you waiting for? Go ahead, call the cops. I wasn't in here by accident, and you know it. Here. Tell them now they got Mark Shields' son, too. That's what they've been waiting for. All of them.
Have they, Jeff?
That's right. My old man's a convict. Nobody in this town's ever let me forget it. 12 years he got on 3 counts of grand theft. Well, now they get his son for stealing, too. Go on. Phone him. What are you waiting for?
Hello, operator. Let me have the police station. Hello, Sergeant Garrick. This is Steve Maywood. Sergeant, did Tim Spencer get there yet? Oh, he is. Well, tell him to forget the whole thing. It's all okay. Thanks. Good night.
What's the idea?
Jeff, you just mentioned a moment ago something about your father. Well, maybe you've got the whole thing turned around. Maybe it's you that won't let us forget about it. You see, Jeff, in a town of this size, when one of our own people goes as far off base as your father did, it isn't just he that's failed. It's the whole town that's failed, too. We missed with your... We'd like not to miss with you, too.
The town doesn't have to worry about me. All I want to do is get away.
With stolen clothes? Leaving your mother needing all the help she can get?
Mother can take care of herself. All I'm interested in is me.
Oh? I believe Hallie said you mentioned a birthday tomorrow.
What if I did? Let's see. What are you doing?
That comes to $12.43. The tax?
I haven't got it.
Well, we don't run charge accounts here. We're on the basis of a loan from me to you. Purely personal, I think we can handle it. That is until you come in tomorrow.
Who says I'm coming in tomorrow?
Jeff, do you still have that machine shop you put up out at your place?
Yeah?
Well, you know, that new car of mine has never been adjusted right. I think it's either the ignition or the carburetor. A funny thing, I still remember what Roy Crane told me at the high school. Best student he ever had in auto shop for smelling out bugs in a motor was a kid named Jeff Shields. Well, how about it?
You mean you let me have your car? Now?
That's right. And Jeff, if you could really get that shop of yours rolling, what this town needs is first-class mechanics. Why, right offhand, I can think of a dozen customers for you to start out with. That is, if you can see your way clear to staying around.
I don't know what to say.
Don't say anything. Start remembering you're you, and not a reflection of anybody else. Get that chip off there and start using that shoulder turning wrenches.
I'll turn them, Mr. Maywood.
I've got to get going. Oh, here. Oh, I just happened to think. If I give you these, how am I going to get home?
You can borrow my car. That is, well, it's a little souped up.
Listen, when I was your age, I was driving a Stutz Bearcat. So don't worry about me.
Sonny boy? Mr. Maywood.
Officer,
So we finally caught up with the owner of this little job, eh? 10 days we've been looking.
You see, Officer, I can explain that. I said I could explain the whole...
Well, I should hope you can, because this is all the charges outstanding against your car here. No muffler, no tail light, license expired, past 4 stoplights, doing 70 in a 20-mile zone. Explain? I figure since you're a prominent citizen, it shouldn't take any more than about 30 days, but we'll let the judge decide that. Your license, please.
Hello? Oh, yes, Tim. You did. Well, how close are we? Oh, that's too bad. Well, I guess it just wasn't our year to make it, that's all. You think so? Why, sure, we can still try. All right. A meeting at 9:15. You light the fires, and I'll see if I can add some fuel. Yeah. Good night, Tim.
And it does mean we'll have to go way over our regular quota for the day. Sure it does. It means we'll have to do $1,400 more than the biggest December 31st this store ever had. But we've been pushing for months to make this the year that our store would be AA. And that extra $1,400 will do it. We can accomplish what Mr. Maywood's been working for 15 years. Well, what do you all say? Can we do it?
We can do it.
I think it's a great idea. What have we got one of the best saleswomen in the company for? Hallie could put this over all by herself.
Oh, I don't know. The whole week's been off. And what about all the Christmas returns? Yeah.
Well, the shoe department can do it if anybody can.
Good.
Every double sale a triple. That's all we need.
Well, what do you say, Mr. Maywood?
Well, I told Tim last night I didn't think it could be done, but, well, you've changed my mind. Tim's right. I have waited a long time for our store to become a double A. That may not mean much to people outside our company, but I think you all know what it means within it. To do that much business in a town of this size proves that we've done a service in the community, that we've earned our growth. Actually, to become a double A is only a symbol, that's true. But after all, it's symbols that we live by. The right milestone can be mighty important in a life or a business. Now, my personal quota for the day is $200, and I intend to triple it. Anybody think they can top that?
I can, Mr. Maywood.
Larry, it's a deal. I'll sweep out the storeroom if I lose. Okay, Tim, open up. Let's see if Clarksville can make history.
Would you okay this, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Oh, Tim, how does this total look so far?
Well, everybody's trying, but traffic's still thin. So far, we're even behind normal. Now, I think that if...
Oh, good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Hello, Steve. My wife phoned this big goings-on down here today.
That's right.
Sounded to me like it was important for the town as well as for you, so I'm here to help. I need a tie.
A tie?
Yeah.
You think the mayor of our town's going to get away with just buying a tie? Oh, I think I'll wait on you myself. Now, about those 4 shirts, 3 sweaters, and 6 pairs of socks
Now, wait a minute.
Now, right this way, Mr. Mayor. You know, Mayor, you still shouldn't leave without a new top coat.
Steve, I came in here to buy a tie. Now, have a heart.
All right.
This suit is positively the last.
All right.
Mr. Maywood, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, it's picking up. Word's got all over town. We can still make it if it just doesn't rain.
I think this yarn should match it, Mrs. Maywood.
Thanks for bringing it, Hilda.
Yeah. Yes. Just right. That's good. My, that's pretty. But I sure wouldn't want such a thing in my house. My Carl wants to move enough as it is.
Doesn't this mean there's no place like home?
Oh, no, Mrs. Maywood. No. No. Att resa att lära. It means to travel is to learn.
To travel? Oh, no. And all of these years I thought...
Oh, Madge.
Oh, Hilda, don't tell Mr. Maywood.
No, okay, I won't. I read this for you.
I did it. I called the Mothers Club, the Legion Auxiliary, and 7 Cub Scout mothers. They're here or will be. I even sold myself on some shopping.
Well, don't stop at yarn. Buy a dress or something.
Here are your things, Mrs. Maywood.
Oh, thanks, Larry. Let's see now. 2 pair of shoes, 3 dresses, a coat, curtains for your daughter, and jeans for your grandchildren.
$93.12.
You, bought this all from Larry?
Everyone else was busy.
Yeah, we're running nearly 1,000 behind, as I figured, Mr. Maywood.
Well, if we don't make it, nobody can say the whole town didn't help us try.
Hey, where's my book? How can I sell stuff without a book?
Ed, I thought you were in Florida.
Oh, nonsense. I'm here and I'm raring to go. Give me a book. Come on, give me a book.
You're not serious.
Of course I'm serious. I could always outsell you or any man or woman that ever worked for me. How are we making out, Steve? They're going to hit the quota?
Well, until you came, Ed, I had my doubts, but now I'm sure we're in.
All right. Where do I work, General? Hey, how about women's shoes? Always was my best line.
Shoes it is. Women's shoes it is. Here you are, Ed.
I can fill 6 of these by 5:30. Yes, sir.
What a man.
Wow.
How does it look? Will we make it?
We'll know in a minute.
Say, these 3 suits I sold to myself sure ought to help.
I sold myself 9 pairs of shoes. Women's. Oh, what a salesman.
There we are, Mr. Maywood.
How far short are we, Mr. Maywood?
So near and yet so far. $484. Well, I'm sorry, boys and...
You will? I had a hunch that's what you'd say, Mr. Kelly. Oh, thanks a million. Well, Mr. Kelly at the hotel hasn't been buying sheets and blankets from me for 20 years for nothing. I knew what he'd say if he got back in time. He bought 4 dozen blankets at $12.90 apiece, and his check's on the way
Hallie, you're not only the best salesman I ever trained, but you're a darn beautiful woman.
Oh.
And I love you.
It was wonderful, Hallie. Thanks.
Oh, thank Mr. Kelly.
How'd you do in your 600 quota, Mr. Maywood?
I made it, Larry, with 100 to spare.
Well, mine was only 75, and I made 340. Here.
And don't worry, I'll use it, too. I'm sure you all know how I feel. This couldn't have happened today except for, well, just about the best staff any manager ever had. Part of it was knowing your jobs and your merchandise. But another part was knowing your town and knowing your customers, having your customers know you well enough so that they really cared whether we made the quota. That's a tribute to you and to the Penny organization as a whole. Anyway, I'm grateful. And I'm proud. Now, have a fine New Year's and come back all rested up. Then we can relax getting the white goods event underway.
Well, they're the final figures, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, I'd say you did all right, son. Phew, what a day, what a day.
Oh, I'll wait and let you out, Mr. Harkness. And Happy New Year to you, sir.
Happy New Year to you, Tim. Madge is calling for me, Ed. Can I drive you home?
Home? On New Year's Eve? Huh. I'm just getting started.
Ed, I'd like to thank you for everything.
Yeah. Took you long enough to make double A. I'd have done it 3 years ago.
I believe you would.
Pretty fancy is all I can say. Pretty fancy. Well, so long, Steve. Oh, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Ed.
Hello, darling. Oh, Steve, I just heard the news. It's wonderful.
Well, I had a lot of help, darling, including a wife who tried to bankrupt me in one day. Come on.
Steve, wait. I was just remembering another store in a town called Clinton.
How many years ago?
Oh, never mind. You can keep counting if you want to. I've stopped. In case I haven't said it, Steve, I'm glad for you. I'm glad about everything, even if I didn't have a famous lawyer for a husband.
You know, maybe it was Ed who didn't aim high enough.
What?
Well, why shouldn't a store like this be a AAA?
Oh, Steve.
Well, after all, a young man's got to look ahead.
It's New Year's Eve, remember? And at least until midnight, you're my husband, not the store's.